It is that which shall not be named. The simple everyday device we all use multiple times a day. All the words we use for it are really euphemisms. We talk of the bathroom, even though in many cases the room really contains not a bath, not a tub or a shower. Smaller versions are often referred to as the powder room, although they usually don't contain any powder. Sometimes it's a restroom, but a restroom doesn't usually contain a bed or a cot on which we can rest, nor would you really want to rest there. Lavatory focuses on hand washing, not the other activities that take place prior to the hand washing. We still encounter some archaic terms like convenience, necessary room. The Brits call it the water closet or the WC. Or, for some inscrutable reasons, they refer to it sometimes as the loo. Granny called the low-tech version of it the outhouse, more of a designation of where it was located than its function. The most common names for the appliance itself are, of course, toilet or commode, both meaning other things. Toilette is French, meaning to wash, dress, or arrange one's hair. Still, not what's done in there. Commode is the more generic term that actually refers to a piece of furniture, not even to the room. If all else fails, we can just call it by the name of the 19th century Brit who invented the modern version. Yes, Thomas Crapper. You can tell something about a culture, I think, by the way its toilets are. In Asia, toilets can be literally non-existent. I've shared with you before, remember landing in Nepal and encountering my first public toilet, or lack thereof. When you open the stall, it can be a shock for a Westerner to realize that something is missing, literally, the toilet. There's a hole in the floor, but not a hole in the floor like you'd find in our bathroom when we're doing the floor and remove the actual commode. It's actually a purposefully designed hole in tile. And if it's a fancy public restroom, there might be two Arthur Murray dance print kind of footprints so you know where to stand when you squat. I'll let you fill in your imagination. Now, hotels and restaurants and fancy places will, of course, have Western-style bathrooms that we're all used to. In Germany, however, it is first class. The average American is appalled when they find out it costs about $1 to use the restroom in Germany, in a public place. But then the experience is worth the cost. Public restrooms in Germany are immaculate, and that's largely due to the one, sometimes two people who work in them, cleaning them in between every person who uses them. And then there's the flush. Ah, the flush. One must watch the flush in Germany. If you're an American, that's a must, because it's something you've never seen before. You see, when you flush the toilet in a German public bathroom, an arm and a handle come down, grab the seat. The seat literally rotates through, steam cleaning and sanitizing the seat in between every single tushy that has sat there. Most of the people I take to Germany come out and say, why in God's good name do we not have that in America? Kind of makes you wonder. And when you see the other people who use the bathroom, it's worth $1. Well, that's enough potty talk. But it does relate to the gospel for today. In order to understand the context of the scriptures, we do have to go back a bit to the first verse of where we're reading the Pharisees criticizing Jesus in the gospel. Why do your disciples break the tradition of the elders, they say? They do not wash their hands before they eat. The key word here to understand, I think, is your disciples, not ours, they're yours. And if they're your disciples, you're responsible for what they learn. It's your job to teach them, correctly. Your disciples don't wash their hands, and so it's your responsibility. It's the law. It's important to remember, though, this isn't just about ritual purity. It's also about hygiene. Jesus was clearly not teaching his disciples to follow God's law. How dare he? But then, as he always does, Jesus takes the teaching of the Pharisees and he flips it upside down, turns it on his head, and shoves it right back in their face. You're so concerned with what goes into a person, he says, but what comes out of them from their heart is what really matters. What a person eats goes right through them and ends up in the sewer. What comes out of them, their words, their thoughts, their actions, comes from their hearts. And it defiles them in so much more important ways. And yes, if you heard me correctly, you realize that Jesus Christ, the Lord of all creation, just made a poop joke. And he was right. Jesus was saying the leaders of his day were missing the point of their faith. This holiness thing, it's not just about what goes in us, it's about what comes out of us. And it's largely about our words, our actions, our behaviors, our thoughts, our relationships with others. What Jesus is saying is that words matter. Actions matter. Their lives matter. You can get all this religious stuff right, wearing all the right robes, following all the right ritual, bowing at the right altars. You can worship at the right hill in the right temple and say all the right prayers, offering the perfect sacrifice in the perfect way. But if what comes out of you is mean, exclusionary, hateful, evil, demeaning, belittling, and bullying, you've just missed the point of your religion. You can hold all the Bibles you want, but if you have to gas people to do it, you have no concept of what's in the book you're holding, you hypocrite. And yes, I just went there. We as a people need to wake up and realize that the way we talk about others, the way we treat them, whether it's compassion or whether it's cruelty, whether it's exclusion or inclusion, whether we make a safe space or whether we push them away, those are the things that reflect the true nature of our relationship with a living God. Now, this does not mean that we always need to be pleasant or agreeable or nice. That's a Christian myth, and I want you not to think it anymore. That's not Jesus. That's some sort of sappy Christian sugar coma crap. And frankly, there are times for Christians to get angry. There are times to scream and shout and shake our fists and act up. Jesus did. The apostles did. The prophets did, both then and now. But, and here's the key, when did they? They did it when other people were being hurt, abused, neglected. When the poor, the oppressed, the outcast, the sick, the hungry, the dying were being cast to the side so that those in power could prop up their own status and pad their own pockets at the expense of other people, even if it meant kneeling on their backs or their necks to get their way. And friends, if you read the gospel today, Jesus uses one word to describe that behavior, and that word is evil. It's evil that comes out of us when we're more concerned with looking good and sounding good than with becoming popular or rich, than with becoming righteous or compassionate. It's evil when I put my own selfish ambition above service to the least, the lost, and the last around me. And frankly, Jesus says it's evil when religious and political leaders stand silent, or worse yet, are complicit in propping up those systems for their own personal gain. So today we're warned, just like the Pharisees are warned of old. And it's a warning that we need desperately to hear. We can be as holy as we want, but if what comes out of us, our words, our thoughts, our actions, if they're demeaning and degrading and dehumanizing, then our religion is nothing more than a pile of crap. If that offends you, take it up with Jesus. It's his metaphor, not mine. But for us, for this faith community, let us stand as a prophetic witness, preaching and living our faith in ways that make a safe space for those who need it, who speak strong words against those who will build up for themselves by tearing others down, and who offer the compassionate healing of a loving God to those whom this world has broken. Because frankly, friends, if we don't, then we've missed the entire point of being in church. Amen.